Hello, Reddit.
I, 44 million, have been married to my wife, 46F, for 22 years, and we have 3 children, 11F, 15F, 20M. In 2022, I asked for a divorce and moved out of our home, but I never followed through with the paperwork. Instead, we started dating again for the past year and a half, trying to rebuild our relationship. Things were going well, until a few months ago, when she started growing distant. She's a psychotherapist specializing in DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, and told me she was overwhelmed with high-needs clients. I took her at her word. That is, until one night, when I saw her parked outside a random apartment complex at 3 a.m. She was borrowing my Tesla at the time, and I noticed her location through the car's tracking widget. When I confronted her, she claimed she was just visiting a friend, though this was extremely out of character for her. Red flags went up immediately. I pressed for details, and she eventually told me it was a new friend from work. They were supposed to meet earlier, but plans got mixed up, and they ended up hanging out late. In our marriage, we've always allowed close friendships with the opposite sex, but we never had an open relationship. Still, something felt very off. She was evasive when I asked more questions, but after a week, she finally gave me his name. She admitted the situation looked bad, agreed it was inappropriate, and said she wouldn't see him outside of work anymore. That was in early May 2024. Fast forward a few weeks to early June, and I discovered she had gone back to his place, staying until 6 a.m. When I confronted her again, she insisted he was just a friend, claiming she had too much to drink and fell asleep on his couch. I challenged her, and instead of giving me real answers, she said she needed space and asked me to leave her alone for a week. I wasn't convinced. During that week, I did some digging and found the guy's Instagram, phone number, and address. I reached out thinking that if he was truly just a friend, he wouldn't want things to be misconstrued. His response: he called me a little boo-wee and told me to go away. That reaction only confirmed my suspicions. So I decided to visit his apartment to talk face-to-face. When he came downstairs, he got right in my face, repeating the same insults and cursing me out. I kept my cool and calmly asked what was going on with my wife. He refused to answer and eventually called the police. But after getting off the phone, he shoved me to the ground. Assault? I had no interest in escalating things, so I left. I told my wife that I knew something was going on based on his reaction. That's when she finally admitted to a light affair, claiming it wasn't physical, just some innocent meme sharing and fun conversations. I was devastated, but she insisted I was overreacting and blowing things out of proportion. The aftermath. Over the next couple of months, we continued talking, trying to figure out if our relationship could be saved. We went to music festivals, spent time together, and were frequently intimate. It almost felt like we were rebuilding something. Then, in August, she bought her own Tesla. While I was helping her set up her account, she suddenly went silent when she realized I could see her car's location, just like she could see mine. I told her I had nothing to hide, but she insisted on separate accounts. Another red flag. The very next night, I drove by his apartment. Sure enough, her car was parked right outside. I texted both of them, asking her to come out and talk. She refused. I went home to wait for her. While I was there, I had a strange feeling and decided to check her room. I'm not proud of this next part, but I found a journal sitting out on her work table. I took it and read it. That's when I discovered the truth. The guy she was seeing wasn't just some random friend. He was one of her DBT clients, a man with BPD, borderline personality disorder. Her journal detailed therapy sessions lasting 4, 5, even 6 hours. She wrote about inappropriate physical contact, kissing, dry humping, and discussions about sexual topics. She described their deep emotional connection, fantasizing about a life with him while also wrestling with guilt and shame. She knew she was risking everything to be with him, and yet she couldn't stop. When she got home, I confronted her. She broke down, begging me not to report her to the Board of Behavioral Health. I left around 2 a.m. and immediately scheduled a session with my own therapist that morning to process everything. Turns out all therapists are mandatory reporters when it comes to ethical breaches. My therapist reported her. The investigation. An investigation was launched, and I was contacted by the Attorney General's office to give a sworn statement. I kept my testimony vague. I didn't want to be vindictive, so I told them I wouldn't provide photos of her journal unless subpoenaed. I also convinced my wife to self-report, which she did. The investigation is ongoing, and I assume they're auditing her client records and conducting interviews, but I have no insight until the final report is made public. Meanwhile, our marriage is officially over. We are deep into the divorce process. In retaliation, she took out a harassment restraining order, HRO, against me for stealing her journal and bombarding her with texts asking why she did this. Still, I occasionally get a gut feeling that she's still seeing him. And every time I check, I'm right. Her car is still parked outside his place at night. She continues to risk everything. Her career, her reputation, our family. Moving forward. As for me, I've been focusing on healing. I'm seeing my therapist regularly and staying steady on my meds, but I still feel lost. This has been incredibly difficult to process, which is why I decided to write it all out here. Surprisingly, it feels a little cathartic. Thanks for reading and offering any support.